Paramatmane Namaha. Sohamasmi Brahmaivahamasmi. I am that. I am Brahman alone. Ribhu Gita Chapter 16. Brahmananda Prakaranam. The topic of the bliss of the Brahman. The bliss supreme, the bliss absolute, the bliss infinite and eternal. What is that? That's my nature. I of the nature of pure consciousness. I, the eternal Atman. I, the Supreme Brahman, alone am seat, center, source, substance and substratum of every single particle of bliss. I am embodiment of bliss. Bliss is my birthright. 16th chapter of Ribhu Gita. Join me and drink the nectarine bliss, the ambrosia of bliss of the Brahman. That is the real bliss. That is the unconditioned eternal love. That alone is the Brahmananda, the bliss of the Brahman. Alone is the real, eternal, immutable, infinite and everlasting beauty, embodiment of beauty. Let's know what is that. Where is that bliss? Where is that infinite ocean of bliss of Brahman? Ribhu. I shall now tell you about the bliss of Brahman, rare to come by in all three worlds, just by hearing which one can attain eternal liberation. I am indeed the Self that is supreme bliss, ever bliss only. I am of the nature of complete bliss, eternal bliss. I am of the nature of infinite bliss. The bliss of Brahmananda is mine. The world is all consciousness bliss, Chidananda. The entire universe is nothing but Chidananda. The bliss of the consciousness, and consciousness alone is Brahman, and therefore the bliss of consciousness is the bliss of Brahman, and that consciousness is present within me as the Self, as the Atman of mine, and as the Self and Atman of everyone and everything. Therefore that bliss of the Brahman, the Brahmananda, is ever available, but because of the ignorance about our true nature, ignorance about our eternal immutable Self, we are suffering and living a life miserable in the grip of sorrows, sufferings and fears. Realize your true nature and enjoy the ambrosia of Brahmananda. The infinite ocean of Brahmananda is ever available to you. Just remove the thin veil of ignorance caused by your mind and mental modifications, and then there is nothing but infinite ocean of Brahmananda, infinite ocean of ambrosia of the bliss of the Brahman, the bliss of the Atman, the bliss of the consciousness, Chidananda. Chidanandarupah Shivoham Shivoham Chidanandarupah Shivoham Shivoham. I am eternal, immutable Shiva of the nature of blissful consciousness, always I am. I am complete bliss, I am infinite bliss, I am unconditioned and absolute bliss. That bliss can never ever be hindered. This is a bliss unfettered, uncaused, it's intrinsic and natural to me. True me, the true self of mine, of the nature of pure consciousness, is ever mass of bliss, infinite mass of bliss I am, infinite mass of bliss you are, Tattvam Asi. I am ever endless bliss. Endless bliss. Endless bliss means everlasting beauty, unconditioned and eternal love, infinite joy, happiness, and bliss in every single thought, word, and action of ours. What are we essentially seeking? We are seeking nothing but bliss, beauty, love, and happiness are one and the same. In Vedanta, they are known as Anandamaya. One of the names of the Brahman is Anandamaya, and Brahman, the pure, supreme, absolute reality alone, is the seat, center, source, substance, and substratum of all joy. All love is essentially divine love. All beauty is essentially divine beauty. All happiness is essentially divine happiness. Recognize that divinity within and hit upon the infinite ocean of bliss within yourself. That is what says Ribhu is saying. What you are seeking for thousands of years through various incarnations and births and deaths, you have not got even a particle of that. This is the human birth where you are capable of, you are qualified, you can hit upon that infinite ocean of Brahmananda. It's ever present within you, within me, everywhere. The entire universe is nothing but bliss of the Brahman. Bliss, consciousness, and consciousness that is blissful. That's your nature. Realize that. I am ever endless bliss. This world is knowledge bliss, Chidananda. Knowledge bliss, Chidananda. I am of the nature of enlightened bliss. What is enlightened bliss? The bliss that is uncaused, that is unconditioned, that is eternal, immutable, that is intrinsic and inherent to your nature, that is enlightened bliss. And what is non-enlightened one? The ephemeral, mortal, illusory pleasure you derive from the sensual pleasure, sensual indulgence. It is unreal, false, illusory, dreamlike. That is why it's unenlightened. It's born out of ignorance. But the enlightened bliss is real. It's real, that will quench and satisfy your hunger for beauty, your thirst for love. Your desire for infinite bliss will be satisfied only by drinking the ambrosia of Brahmananda, which is available ever within your Atman. I am just simple bliss. I am just knowledge alone. Try to be of this conviction for the extinction of the phenomenal world. Once you realize the true source of the Brahmananda, the bliss of the Brahman, the entire phenomenal universe of the names, forms, and attributes will vanish with that knowledge, that divine knowledge. All the world is ever unreal. Thought alone is the entire world. Thought alone is said to be the phenomenal world. Thought alone is the cause of the body. Thought alone is the great fault. Thought alone is the little boy. Thought alone is this great mind. Thought alone is the great unreality. Thought alone is the illusory self. The self, the individual self, the ego-based self that we identify with the body and mind is always unreal. And it's born out of nothing but thought, minds. Thought alone is the illusory self. Thought is like the horns of a hare. Means non-existence, non-existent. Thought is ever non-existent. This is the truth. It is like the son of a barren woman. Thought and mind are like the son of a barren woman. They never in reality exist. The essence of even thought and mind is nothing but the self, the Atman of the nature of pure consciousness alone illumines, pervades and permeates even thoughts and mind and intellect, which by themselves are unreal, illusory, insentient, lifeless. They are illumined and animated by none other than the self, the Atman within. The Brahman within, the Brahmananda alone illumines even the sensual pleasures. The senses and body by themselves have no pleasure, not even a single iota or particle of even sensual pleasure is possible without the source, substance and substratum of the Brahmananda. The sensual pleasure too is a particle of the Brahmananda. That is the great revelation by Yajnavalkya in Brihadaranyaka Upanishads. Thought is the void. There is no doubt of this. Brahman indeed is all the world. Sarvam khalvidam Brahma. I indeed am sentience. I indeed am the attributeless. I alone am the attributeless Nirguna. The mind indeed is worldly existence. The mind indeed is the mandala. The mind indeed is bondage. The mind indeed is seen. The mind indeed is the seen, and the mind indeed is ignorance, and mind indeed is the bondage, cause of all sorrow, suffering, and fear. Mind alone is root of all fear. Fear of disease, infection, affliction, death. It's all born out of mind and thoughts. The mind indeed is the great sorrow. The mind indeed is the cause of the body. The mind indeed is said to be the world of phenomena. The mind indeed is the body. Beyond the mind there is neither any body nor any phenomenal universe. Mind alone creates the illusion of body and this gross physical phenomenal universe. Transcend the mind and transcend the body consciousness and abide in the pure consciousness The consciousness of consciousness alone is the true state, the highest state, Nirvikalpa Samadhi, where you see the truth, the Brahmananda. The mind indeed is the great Sattva, the mind indeed is the four-faced Lord Brahma, the mind indeed is verily Hari directly seen, the mind indeed is said to be Shiva remembered. The mind indeed is said to be magic. The mind's magic word here is for illusion. The mind is mere sankalpa, mental modification, imagination, thoughts. The mind only is the great sin. The mind indeed is the evil-minded. The mind indeed is said to be all means the phenomenal physical universe. Illusory world is nothing but projection of mind. The world of the names, forms and attributes is nothing but projection of mind. The mind indeed is the great fear. The mind indeed is the Supreme Brahman. The mind indeed is all by itself. When he says the mind indeed is Brahman, here he means the essence of mind is nothing but Brahman, the essence of mind is nothing but Atman, the pure consciousness. That is why the mind is source of all evil, but mind in essence is nothing but Brahman. The Brahman alone has become the mind. The mind indeed is of the nature of consciousness. The mind it is that makes the mind what it is. Consciousness alone is of the nature of the Supreme. Consciousness alone is the Supreme Abode. Paramdhama. Eternal abidance in pure consciousness is called Supreme Abode, Paramdhama. At this moment, I alone am the Supreme Brahman. I alone am verily the Supreme Brahman. I alone am the contented self. I am the embodiment of bliss. I am Anandamurti, mass of infinite bliss, embodiment of infinite bliss, I am. I am the self with fully matured knowledge, ever motionless and pure. I indeed am the peaceful self. I am without beginning or end. I am the illumined self. I am indeed Brahman alone. Brahmaivahamasmi. I am everlasting. I am eternal. There is no doubt of this. I am ever knowledge loving. I indeed am the one non-dual reality. I am totally the immortal. I am totally the immortal means I am ever immortal. I am immortal. There is no mortality in me, no disease, infection, affliction in me. I am ever immortal self. I am ever immortal Brahman. I alone am the self-determined. I alone am the approver. I indeed am you yourself. I am the self of all, devoid of all. I indeed am the Supreme Brahman. I am higher than the highest. I am higher than the highest. I am Brahman. Ego there is none for me. No sorrow and no faults exist for me. No happiness exists for me. There is no knowledge for me. No thinking for me. No body for me. And no senses for me. Lineage there is none for me. There are no eyes for me. No role for me. Nothing of the list or trivial for me. Japa there is none for me. No mantra, no world, no friend exists for me. Relatives there are none for me. No enemies exist for me. No mother and no father exist for me. There is nothing to be experienced for me. No experiencer for me. No activity for me. And no lineage for me. Nothing, nothing, nothing. Philosophy there is none for me. No world exists for me. No peace is there for me. No line of descent exists for me. Anger there is none for me. Nor is there desire for me. I am only Brahman alone. I am only Brahman alone. Brahmaivahamasmi, aham brahmasmi, soham, I am Brahman alone. Being just Brahman alone, I am just myself. There is no attachment or covetousness or astotra or scripture for me. Delusion there is none for me, no desire exists for me, no friendship is there for me, there is no qualities for me, no sheaths for me, no childhood for me, no youth for me, nor there is any senility for me, that is no old age for me. As all are of the nature of Brahman, it is certain that Brahman is one. There is nothing higher than the Brahman. There is nothing apart from Brahman. There is nothing higher than the Brahman. There is nothing apart from Brahman. Sarvam khalvidam Brahma. Entire universe is verily Brahman alone. I am Brahman, you are Brahman, the entire universe is nothing but the Brahman alone. There is nothing as this apart from Brahman. Verily there is nothing as this apart from Brahman. There never is anything apart from the Self. I am indeed the Self. There is no doubt of this. Apart from the Self, there is no happiness. Apart from the Self, I don't exist either. I am devoid of grasping or anything to be grasped, devoid of renunciation or anything to be renounced. There is nothing to renounce for me, nor is there anything to acquire. There is no bondage, nor is there anything that can offer liberation. No world exists for me, and there is nothing inferior, nothing superior, and nothing adverse for me. There is no strength for me, there are no outcasts for me, nor are there castes such as Brahmins. No protection exists for me, there is nothing short for me, nothing weak for me, and no strength for me either. There is no power for me, no enjoyment for me, no destiny for me, and no separateness for me. Being only Brahman, I am nothing apart from eternity. I am eternality alone because I am Brahman alone. I alone exist ever, ever, ever. There is no religion for me and no illusion for me. There is truly no body for me ever. There is surely no such thing as I nor any name such as Brahman, because that Supreme Brahman is beyond all names, forms and attributes, and that Brahman I am. Aham Brahmasmi. Brahmaivahamasmi. Whatsoever phenomenal world there is, whatsoever words of the Guru there are, I am indeed in all of them. All that is Brahman, all that is considered as nothing but consciousness alone. Brahman is consciousness, ever the reality, ever the reality. One is oneself Brahman, one is oneself the Supreme. One is oneself liberation, oneself is continuity, oneself indeed is empirical knowledge, oneself indeed is atheism too. Oneself is ever the essence, one is oneself the supreme, oneself is the self of the void, oneself is the mind captivating. Sitting in silence indeed is the holy ablution. Very profound statement. Sitting in silence alone is the holy ablution. Sitting in silence indeed is the japa. Sitting in silence indeed is the worship. Sitting in silence indeed is the highest. Sitting in silence indeed is the highest. Sitting in silence indeed is the highest state, highest glory and highest bliss. Inquiring constantly with the mind, be of the certitude that I am Brahman. There is no doubt that I am Brahman. Remaining silent, thus is the japa. Remaining silent with the firm conviction that I am Brahman, Aham Brahmasmi, is the greatest and highest japa, silent japa. All is only Brahman, nothing else exists. All is of the nature of the tapas, filled with knowledge. There is nothing indeed as oneself. I am of the nature of the all-transcendent. I am the true nature that transcends words. Doing japa with words is meaningless. Doing japa with words is meaningless. This is the highest explanation of the mind. A difference such as I and this doesn't exist for me, because I am Brahman alone, non-dual, one, indivisible, immutable, eternal Brahman alone. I am. There is no difference, duality or distinction in me. Aham Brahmasmi. I am Brahman alone. All beings are like corpses. Yesterday, I was telling in one of my lecture, this body is ever dead. It's nothing. All the beings which appear to be living, animated, full of life, are essentially every form and name with attributes is nothing but dead body called corpse. That is what Ribhu is saying. All beings are like corpses. All groups are as corpses. The world is ever unreal. All the universe is unreal. All the universe of the names, forms, and attributes is unreal because its source, substance, and substratum is nothing but the Brahman of the nature of pure consciousness, and that Brahman I am, that Brahman you are. The Brahman alone is the essence of entire universe. In that sense, the entire phenomenal universe is unreal, ever non-existing. Being a thing apart is unreal. There is no such word as unreal. Because unreal has in reality no existence. It's illusion, it's apparent reflection of the real. Being something is unreal. You yourself are ever Brahman alone. Tattvam asi, tattvam asi, tattvam asi. You yourself are ever Brahman. There is nothing and no one in you other than the Brahman ever. The Vedas and the branches of the Vedas are unreal because they are words, they are concepts, they are in the realm of the mind and intellect. Even though their end objective is Brahman, but the Vedas, the words of the Vedas, the concepts and the knowledge of the Vedas are not the true Brahman, the real Brahman, the ultimate truth. Even though Vedas are science and metaphysics which enable the realization of that Brahman, but Vedas and any sacred literature, any sacred scripture is not the Brahman, the real Brahman by itself. The conclusions of these scriptures are unreal. This listening is verily unreal. This speech and this listening there is also unreal because the real, the Brahman is ever in the state of silence. The nameless, formless attributes, Brahman I am. It is beyond the realm of word, thoughts and mind. That is what he is trying to suggest, that even listening or speaking and the Vedas all are unreal in supreme sense. Profound meditation too is unreal. Classification as a particular group is unreal. Classification into different groups is unreal. This declaration is the truth. This is the truth. There is no doubt of this. All is Brahman, ever Brahman, ever Brahman. Brahman is one, the changeless consciousness. Verily, this universe is born out of the sport of the mind. The mental modifications alone create this entire universe. It manifests itself in fullness by the compassion of the Lord of the universe, only by following the pure words arising from the crest of the Vedas, that is Vedanta, and acting according to the injunctions of the scriptures, does liberation follow, not otherwise. The Vedanta alone, the Upanishads alone, the Mahavakyas alone are key to self-realization, Brahman realization, which alone is the key to supreme freedom, Brahmananda. By realizing your true nature, enjoy the bliss of Brahmananda. Chidananda Rupah Shivoham Shivoham. Chidananda Rupah Shivoham Shivoham. Akartaham Abhoktaham Avikaroham Akriyah Shuddha Bodha Swarupoham Kevaloham Sadashivaha Kevaloham Sadashivaha Chidananda Rupah Shivoham Shivoham Chidananda Rupah Shivoham Shivoham Chidanandarupah Shivoham Shivoham Chidanandarupah Shivoham Shivoham. Om Hari Om Tat Sat.